Howdy everyone, or should I say, good day, aviators. Because this is another video, and this is like the fourth time I've restarted on this commentary. I literally know nothing of what's happening right now. I know I recorded the video, but I recorded it several weeks ago. And then my microphone stopped working with my new computer. Yeah, I got my new computer, my microphone stopped working, so for Christmas I got a microphone, and I tried recording the voiceover on Christmas, then problems happened and the voiceover got deleted. Just stuff happened. But in today's video, we're going to be setting up a satellite relay network, and yeah, that's about it, except things went horribly wrong with my rocket designs. Yeah, folks, if you're using Ferrum Aerospace Research, don't try and go for reusable rockets. It doesn't work. Speaking of reusable rockets, you can see me constructing the upper stage here. Yeah, the rocket looks great, but I eventually just had to strip everything off that made it reusable and just, use a non-reusable rocket. Because why wouldn't you want a non-reusable rocket, Anyway, just constructing the thing and trying to make it work. It was pain. It was really pain, and I hate Ferrum Aerospace Research, and I love it at the same time. It's a love-hate relationship. My only gripe, besides the aerodynamic failures with reusable rockets and stuff, like pulling any more than half a G above Mach 0.5, just completely obliterating your plane, I think that's a bit unnecessary. Another gripe that I have is that you need so much dadgum lift to take off. Like, my plane either has to be completely made out of wings, or it has to have engines pointing downward or something. Otherwise, it doesn't take off until it's broken the speed of sound, which is annoying. Yeah, you're probably wondering, if you hate Ferrum so much, why do you play with it? Well, I guess you could call me a masochist, but, yeah, whatever. Constructing the lower stage of our vehicle. All things considered, even though it didn't meet the requirements of a reusable rocket design in the long run, I'm sure I could have landed this, and I'm sure it would have worked if not for Ferrum Aerospace Research and its stupid aerodynamic failures. But overall, I was proud of the rocket design. I mean, I had to get rid of simple repaint because of loading issues, but otherwise it worked like a charm. It was a really good rocket, and it looked beautiful. Just a couple of gripes with Ferrum Aerospace Research, but otherwise, the rocket was successful. And I called it the R1 Titan, if you couldn't tell already. By the way, some really helpful mods that you can see me using. You can see me using Kerbal Engineer Redux, which is really useful. I also like full auto strut, because that makes it so that it automatically set the auto strut. And I also like editor extensions Redux. I use BD Armory. Throttle control avionics is nice. I just haven't gotten around to using it because I haven't made many VTOLs. But yeah, throttle control avionics, if you learn how to use it, which I haven't really, I envision that it would be a really nice mod. But sometimes if I'm launching a rocket and it turns on automatically, it'll switch my engines to unbalanced mode, and it'll reduce the thrust and stuff for the control, and it makes things hard. Like, really hard. Sometimes it'll, like, change the throttle of the engines when I don't need it to, and the rocket will fall out of the sky. But otherwise, it's nice. Procedural wings is nice. Restock Plus. Hi, kitty. Yes, hello, Bella. Interrupting my commentary, are ya? Anyways, back on the launch pad, as you can see. Bella, what are you doing? She's going to her food. Some nice cinematic shots. That's camera tools. Oh, hi there, Angel. Another one of my kitties. Camera tools is nice. I also use janitor's closet. Tells me what mods are which part, and does some other stuff that I don't really know. Atmosphere autopilot, trajectories, here I'm using sci-fi visual enhancements, but with my new computer, I was able to use Scatterer, Astronomer's Visual Pack. Astronomer's Visual Pack? Yeah, Astronomer's Visual Pack in the game is gorgeous. Just gorgeous. And I just decided to get this thing in orbit because landing the rockets was really difficult. I did eventually get it to the point where it would land, but then being in water, it would tip over, and yeah, that annoyed me. And now I'm setting up for the geostationary orbit. The only problem is that, the satellites, they don't have any fuel, so I can't circularize properly. And there's not enough fuel in the main booster to really fuel up the satellites, if I remember correctly. Well, actually, I already deployed that one, and then I made a quick save, so either way, it wouldn't have worked. So I decided to deploy all the satellites, and just leave the booster up there, and then I decided to relaunch it, because I've got nothing better to do. Well, I reset the sparks, because those didn't work. I believe this is where I take off all the parts that make it reusable. Am I correct? Maybe not. Maybe I'm not correct. No, I decided to change those to air brakes. I am an idiot sometimes. You think I would have learned it by now. Whatever. Stuff happens, I guess. And I believe... I thought I already did this. I thought I already launched it. Oh, well, my monitor turned off the last time, so I guess, yeah, in a way I did already do this, but in a way I also didn't, we didn't cover this. So, just trying to get it to where I can land both stages, you know. Once
Don't know why I
again,
keep
we're
reverting to
launching
quick
a
save,
rocket. I have to say, this is day 2 of the actual successful commentary. So far, successful. But I have a confession to make. I decided to get rid of Farum Aerospace Research, and I also had realistic atmospheres installed. I didn't realize I had that installed, but I uninstalled those both. The stock Kerbal aerodynamic model isn't the most realistic, but it's more realistic than it was in the early days. And Farum Aerospace Research is just a pain in the butt, so I decided that, you know what, I'm here to enjoy Kerbal, not kill myself trying to play it. So I may go back to Farum Aerospace Research eventually, but for now, I am just going to part ways with it. And this is a good explanation of why, as well as the fact that you need more wing mass. You need to have the wings account for like 100% of the ship's mass for it to be able to take off at a reasonable speed, like 30 to 40 meters a second. If you heard that hiss, my cats are playing with each other. Cute little ragdolls, and love them to death. We had the water pipes replaced, so there was a lot of noise, so they had a bad morning as well. Although they seemed to handle it better than my dog did. Anyways, more proof that Farum Aerospace Research is a pain in the butt is currently on screen. Every time I would pitch up to try and land the upper stage, it would undergo rapid unplanned disassembly, and now you would just say, you know, why don't you just put boosters? Well, I kind of did, the vernier thrusters, but the problem isn't that I can't pitch up, it's that when I try to pitch up, it breaks. So I think I'm finally giving up, or am I just remaking the upper stage? I think I'm remaking the upper stage. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I don't know why I do this. The upper stage was fine. I don't know why I decided to remake it. Oh, I actually do. I thought that if I could, I was gonna remake the upper stage and try and make it so that center of lift was a bit better. Although I never once look at my center of lift. I was just gonna try and make it so that it would re-enter engines first, and I was just remaking the upper stage to just be better than it was. I decided to go with skiffs, or the J2, and I got to say they work well, but they did not, and they have the thrust to weight ratio I need. It's just Kerbal Space Program is, with Ferrum especially, is pure pain. So I'm glad that I decided to do the smart thing and get rid of it. Because it's a game, so it needs to be enjoyable. My aunt left home. It needs to be fun. It doesn't need to be painful, which is what it was. I will return to it in the future, though, so you guys can't call me a loser. Although I kind of am a loser, but then again, Ferrum Aerospace Research, the realistic aerodynamics themselves, that's not the problem, aside from the fact that you need so much lift, so much wing, because the KSP parts are unbearably dense, but it's mostly just the aerodynamic failures, because I like pulling ADGs at Mach 3. That's what I like to do. I could have just turned off the aerodynamic failures, but as I said earlier, and many times earlier, the ridiculous amount of lift required for aircraft is just stupid. So, I am going to go back to the stock Kerbal aerodynamics. I don't know why I keep repeating myself. Let's just get back to the video. Okay, launching a new test rocket, because I am an idiot and decided that, you know what, maybe we can land this thing. I guess you could say that I have perseverance, but really, I think it's just stupidity and idiocy. Not mean to yawn right there. Woke up early by the guys replacing the pipes. And, so, such is the problems of the, I thought I quit trying to land this. Okay, yeah, we just deployed, like, 2 sets of parachutes there, hoping that it would work, but the parachutes just broke every time we tried to deploy them. So I think this is where I say, you know what? No. Okay. This is where I redo the nose cone for some reason. Nice shots with camera tools. Camera tools is a really nice mod. And I can use it just for fun even if I'm not recording, which is nice. Cats are acting like little bears. By the way, if you see the ship shaking, that's not the Kraken, that's Physics Range Extender. Does weird stuff sometimes, and that's one of the weird things it does. Physics Range Extender is just weird sometimes. So now the problem I was having was it would want it to flip and then it would destroy itself because of how many of aerodynamic stresses and aerodynamic failures. So I believe I give up in just a moment, although now that I've gotten rid of Ferrum Aerospace Research, yes, we're going down this rabbit hole again. The reusable rocket should actually work now, because Physics Range Extender allows me to switch to a rocket from far away, so with a good amount of physics range, it can continue burning until it exits physics range, which is maybe twice, 3 times the normal. So it'll be on a good suborbital trajectory. So the upper stage will be able to get on a nice suborbital trajectory that will give me enough time to land the lower stage, which is nice. And we're finally launching the satellites. I believe I got rid of the stuff that makes it reusable. Landing legs, air brakes and stuff, just to lighten it up and reduce the part count a little bit, because it's not necessary to have all the stuff to make it reusable if we're just going to ditch it anyway. So, yeah. And once again, back on the launch pad with some nice shots from camera tools. Okay, that was spectacular, but that was hilarious, spectacular, and terrible. Like, at this point, I was just so done with it that, like, I'm like, you know what, why did this have to happen? Looking at it now, it was hilarious to watch the upper stages spin and just smack the lower stage, but in reality it was not fun. I did not enjoy it while it was happening. Real blue looks nice, but I prefer waterfall. Aside from the fact that waterfall doesn't work well with tweak scale, but otherwise waterfall, it looks magnitudes better than real bloom. Although real bloom still looks nice if that's all you've got. And on our way to a geostationary orbit, making sure that I can refuel the satellites. If you're wondering why this green's going blue, it's because I don't have his name out, but my friend was talking to me, although I forgot to do it. Set it to blue a couple of other times. He's a good friend. First aid. And deploying the satellites, getting ready to at least. And some nice visuals. Kerbal looks beautiful in Sci-Fi Viz, but I prefer Astronomer's visual pack just because it's higher res. Otherwise, I would definitely go for Sci-Fi visual enhancements 9 out of 10 times. So we're setting up our orbits for geostationary orbit, getting some nice flybys of that satellite. Then we're going to switch back to the mothership and we're going to go around to the next apoapsis, which we did already, I think, and we're going to fire the second satellite. And accidentally did too long physics work there, and Kraken started to launch an attack, but I'm dropped out of phys warp fast enough that it decided that it was not worth the assault. And we're going to launch another mission with more satellites into a polar orbit. Because who doesn't like a polar orbit? Plus, well, that was odd. I think I forgot to check my staging. You gotta always check your staging, kids. But polar orbit is nice. The reason why I'm launching into a polar orbit, though, is because, well, first of all, polar orbit is unique, and second of all, polar orbit. Why isn't my phone charging? Second of all, polar orbit is, being a polar orbit, it doesn't move. So as long as you're like lateral with the thing, you should always, with the orbit of the satellites, you should always have some sort of connection. And yeah, that's my reasoning. So how about that? And now we're going to deploy the satellites after we fuel them up, because for some reason it likes to drain fuel from the satellites, but it's not too big an issue. It's not a big deal. It's just a nuisance. And this is about where my video suboptimal happens in just a few minutes here. After I launch all 3 satellites and get them into orbit, the game takes a while to load up the thing, and then the ship just explodes and says I experienced infinite G's, which is a bit tough if you ask me. So you can see the comm network there. I decided to keep the 3 satellites in a low orbit, in orbit, because, you know, it provides a little bit of extra connection. So yeah, I believe the suboptimal video is what just happened there. So now you get to see me start work on the next project, and that is the Waypoint space station that we will be constructing in the next video. And I already have that footage recorded. I've just got to edit it. We'll edit it together, speed it up, and do a voiceover. So, yep, this is what you'll watch me be doing, and just creating different sub-assemblies, and then this will be launched in the next video. And I'm adding a subcategory. So I think I'll leave you guys be, and for the next 5 minutes or so, you can listen to some music. Maybe. Because I don't really feel like going over how I designed this thing, because I just sort of threw it together and hoped that it would work and look good. So, enjoy some music.